welcome everyone to another Pen Thoughts video, this time with the TWSBI Diamond 580. I will share plenty of writing samples throughout this video, but I just want to take a moment to do a little bit of gushing because I am in love with TWSBI as a whole. I love TWSBI. I am just a really big fan of what they do and how they do it and how well they do it. I feel like they fill a very specific niche in the fountain pen community, and they make pens that are affordable and extremely reliable and very well put together. And there's really not quite anything else on the market like them. I really think they are a very special pen. Now, I do want you to keep in mind that these are my pen thoughts. These are my opinions, and it's very subjective whether people like or dislike a fountain pen. What seems to write really well for me may not be the case for you. And I know these are not for everybody. I've heard feedback from plenty of people that just don't like TWSBI. And so that is, it's just take what I have to say with a grain of salt. I do hope that you, if you experience a TWSBI yourself, that you can find some inspiration writing with it as I do. So they are the pen that I recommend the most. They are the pen that I have given away the most of. They are the pen that I tend to enjoy the most of. They've hit such a sweet spot. So let's take a closer look at this pen and talk about why I am so madly in love with the TWSBI. Before we look more specifically at the TWSBI 580, here is a lineup of some other pens so that you can get a sense of its size. This is the TWSBI 580. This is the Pilot Custom 823, the Sailor Pro Gear, Pelican M600, and the TWSBI Mini, which is the last TWSBI pen that I reviewed, and you can see it's basically the mini version of this Diamond 580. Because I have a lot more wonderful things to say about this pen, I'd like to start off with the things that I don't like. And that will be quick and easy. I don't like the finial. I have never liked the TWSBI logo, nor how it's executed. It looks a little bit, what's the word? Chintzy? Cheap? I don't know. I don't like it. I actually prefer their older logo, which was just a molded plastic, and somehow this blingier logo just really, I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me. I have often wondered if I could even replace that or paint over it. I also don't care for the TWSBI clips as much. While they're not the hardest clip to maneuver, they don't slide on very easily. I have to really work it to lift it up into a pen loop. Whereas the Pelican, for example, just slips on so easily, and I think that's because the end has this lovely little scoop and it just clips on really nicely. I don't talk a lot about clips because I don't think a lot about clips, but they do make an impact on their usability. And how they clip on, in particular, to my journal has been pretty important. And lastly, TWSBI pens tend to be a bit bulky. Just everything about them. The piston is massive. Everything, the plastic, I feel, is pretty hefty, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but even the Pilot Custom 823, I mean, all of these, I think, in my opinion, are a little bit more gracile, a little bit more sleek and elegant, whereas the TWSBI pens tend to be pretty chunky and hefty and oversized. One of the things that I love most about TWSBIs, aside from their huge carrying capacity, this one in particular holds 1.98 milliliters of ink, is that I can leave this uncapped do some writing, think a little bit, do some more writing, pause and think a little bit more, talk maybe, look something up on my phone, and do a little bit more writing. This is actually a really big deal. Fountain pens tend to dry out pretty quickly when exposed to air and uncapped and not writing. And this TWSBI pen just keeps going. Now, there was a little bit of a hard start there. That was a particularly long time, but I'm telling you, this is actually a really big deal, I think. I love that I don't have to cap the pen every time I want to pause and think about what to write next, or maybe I want to look something up, or maybe I'm talking to a friend and I need to use my hands to gesture something. It just feels really good to be able to do that. So this is the TWSBI. Now let's see. I haven't done a writing and non-voiceover video in a long time, so let's see if I can write and talk at the same time. Ooh, baby, it's gonna be challenging. The TWSBI Diamond 580 in the extra fine. This is the perfect nib size for me and my writing. It's got plenty of ink still down on the paper. It doesn't feel dry, but it really is a nice fine line. There's actually just a little bit of spring to this nib too. It's a steel nib. It writes very smoothly, but not too smooth. It's not overly polished. It's perfect for me. It makes contact with the paper. I know I'm writing. It doesn't feel like I'm dragging in the sand, though. It doesn't feel like that I'm writing on sandpaper. It's just somewhere in that sweet spot. This particular pen is filled with the Tatcha Ruri ink. Now, I know that one of the things I said I disliked about the TWSBI was the bulk of it. It also is one of the things that I like about this pen. It is a very hefty pen that I feel like can be tossed around in a bag. I don't feel overly protective of it. I don't worry about it cracking, and it's really solid. I think the word I've been searching for is robust. And I appreciate the weight of it. It is a heavy pen. It does feel a bit tiring in really long writing sessions, but yeah, it's definitely heavier than the Pelican. But I actually would prefer a heavy pen to a light pen. Light pens don't appeal to me. I feel like I'm not holding anything. I feel like I'm not making contact with the paper. So I do appreciate the weight of it. The cap also seals really well, which doesn't seem like that should be a special trait, but unfortunately there are a lot of fountain pens that if you leave them ink for any long period of time without using them, they do dry out and it takes some time to get them going again. I think actually the Laban Taroko is a really great example of that. I just wrote with this maybe an hour ago, and I could guarantee that it wouldn't write right away. It takes quite a lot of encouragement to get the ink flowing again. In fact, after not writing with it for 2 days, I had to force ink through the cartridge converter and out the nib just so that I could get the ink flowing again. These are the same inks. These are both extra fines. It's kind of disappointing. And this was a much more expensive pen. So again, I feel really fond of the TWSBI pen because I know what I'm going to get when I buy it, and I don't have to break the bank to get it. robust, reliable, and always ready to write. I do wish their diamond and the mini lines came out with a larger variety of colors. They really focus on their eco line for all of the fun color releases, which does disappoint me a little bit. I would love to see TWSBI produce this mini in the smoke gray as well. I honestly don't know what more to say about this pen. It just is a really great writer. It feels so good to be able to pick up a pen and just simply write and feel confident in how well it will write and how much ink it can carry. And honestly, I actually do like the look of this one. I think it's pretty classy. As far as TWSBIs go, it appeals to me a lot more than some of their other pen models do. I just don't like that finial. So as always, thank you for watching and happy writing. I'll see you in the next video.